you going? Ben here from digitlc.com.au. How you doing? Hope you're doing well, and this Friday morning is treating you great. Today we're going to be talking about what social media channels you should be using. It's a big question that we get a lot. People get pretty confused. It's overwhelming. I mean, how many channels is there? Goodness me. And there's new ones being born all the time. So you hear about these people succeeding on things like TikTok or Instagram or, YouTube, Facebook, and you go, well, where should I be? So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about some of the statistics. So I'm going to give you some numbers. Hopefully that doesn't overwhelm you. But it's important to know the numbers and understand where your target market is as part of your decision-making process. It's also important not to bite off more than you can chew, okay? So there is a lot of different social media channels. I'm going to suggest that you really get good at doing maybe 2 or 3 platforms, and that's it. Really understand those 2 or 3 platforms, and you can post the same content across those multiple platforms to give you great results. I'm going to talk about that shortly. All of the data that I'm talking about today is come from a company called Genroe, GENROE.com. Their blog, they have a very good analytical sort of bent on stuff, so you can go there and you can read a lot of this stats. It can be a bit confusing if you're not from the game, but you can certainly have a look there. But all of my stats are from there today, and it's all updated as of April 2022. So it's all nice current statistics that we're going to be talking about. So first of all, let's talk about why you should be on social media. As of January 2022, 20.5 million Australians are on social media. Of course, if you're from somewhere else in the world, I'm sure the number's not too much different. Just to put that into perspective, that is 79.9%. So call it 80% of Australians are on social media. Now, when we talk social media, we're talking about things like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok, Twitter. They're all your social media sort of platforms, and it goes on and on and on. Okay, so they're saying that 80% of Australians have a social media account and they're active. Okay, this is not people that have an account that aren't active. 80% are actively on social media. So if you've ever caught yourself saying, should I be on social media? My customers aren't on social media. Give yourself an uppercut because you're incorrect. 80% of Australians are on social media, and that's just a reality, right? So we can assume that the 20% that aren't are under 13 and are not allowed to have a social media account. Let's talk about the 2 most popular platforms, and this is probably going to surprise a lot of people. One of them won't, one of them will. The one that won't surprise you is Facebook. So they're saying that 77.7% of Facebook are Facebook users in Australia. So that's not a surprise, and Facebook is probably one of the most reliable places for you to still use social media and grow your business. And here we are today doing a Facebook Live. I've got many different Facebook pages, many businesses on Facebook, and we help lots and lots of our clients. Pretty much every client utilizes Facebook to generate leads for their business, whether it be organically or through pay-per-click advertising. We'll talk about that shortly. The second most popular social media platform in Australia, drum roll, is YouTube. Now, a lot of people don't realize that YouTube is just like any other social media channel. However, it is very much video based. Now, video gets 11 times more engagement than any other type of content on the internet. And if you're not on YouTube, then you should be. Now, a lot of people aren't on YouTube. And why is that? Well, it's because I think they're concerned about how they'll be perceived. Maybe they're nervous about being in front of the camera. But YouTube is an absolutely amazing place to generate leads because a lot of people are using that platform. Now, 78.2% of Australians are using YouTube. So it is the most popular platform in the country. It outstrips, just outstrips Facebook by 0.5%. But there you go. So YouTube allows you to upload content, interact with the community. People can like and share your posts. And it is owned by Google. So Google is really driving a lot of traffic there. Like I said, video has 11 times more engagement. To give you an idea of how much time the average is, I'm going to ask the question and then I'll answer it, but I want you to think about how much time on average does an Australian spend on social media per day? How much time on average does an Australian spend on social media per day? Well, the answer is 1 hour and 48 minutes. That is incredible when you think about it. Okay, there's 24 hours in a day. We spend 8 hours of that sleeping. That leaves us with 16 hours. And then people are taking nearly 2 hours of that 16 hours and spending it on social media. So I think you'll find that television has probably lost a slice of people's attention, and a lot of the attention has gone to social media. Now, the 5 most used sites in Australia. So this might help you decide which social media channel to use, but you really do need to think about a couple of things. First of all, I would suggest that if you're not on any channel or you're not proficient with anything, YouTube and Facebook is your starting point. Just start there. Get those 2 channels up and working. Now, the reason why I suggest that is because where most people fail is that they become inconsistent, and they become inconsistent because they try and do too much. So if you have a strategy for generating content for YouTube, say that's your YouTube first content, then you can use that same content to do social media posts. And if Facebook is where you're going to post, which is what I suggest, then it's very easy to take your YouTube content and turn it into a Facebook post. And I'll talk about that very shortly. It's also very easy then for you to take that content and turn it into a blog post on your website, which is also very important. But here's the 5 most used social media sites in Australia. The first, which I mentioned before, is Facebook, YouTube, and then Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Okay, so 82% of Australians are using Facebook, 64% are using YouTube. And although YouTube gets more usage, that's why it's slightly higher in popularity. Instagram is 48% of Australians. LinkedIn is 31%, and Twitter is 28%. Okay, so they're the 5 top platforms. So you should be picking one of those top 5 or 2 of those top 5 or max 3 of those top 5 platforms where you're going to use. The benefit of YouTube is it has a longer session time. So a YouTube user on average will spend 20 minutes on YouTube. So this is what helps you, which is what makes YouTube more popular than Facebook, is people spend more time on YouTube than Facebook. So if you're marketing to Australians, YouTube is probably going to be a better place for you to build a relationship and create content that is evergreen. Now, the reason why I love YouTube is that, and these videos that we do as Facebook Lives, we download them and we put them on our YouTube channel. The reason for that is because on Facebook, they disappear. Content on Facebook only lasts a certain amount of time. Now, you can go searching for it. You might be lucky to find it. But reality is, after this video is done and dusted, the chances of people finding it are very slim. On YouTube, on the other hand, is this content could be found in 5 years' time. Now, this particular video is going to be irrelevant in 5 years' time. But imagine the content that you create. If it can be found over and over and over and over again, then it's going to be more likely that content is going to continue to give you a return on investment. So investing in content that gives you the ability to have evergreen, to be able to produce content once and have it go over and over again is what you want, right? You want to make sure that you're doing that. And the other thing with YouTube is you'll reach a much wider audience. So YouTube, if you do a good video that's engaging, that has good watch time and encourages users to stay on the platform, YouTube will really pump that out to a lot of people, and you'll find you could get 1,000 views, a couple of thousand views. I recently, with another one of my businesses, released a video about 2 weeks ago that it has over 8,000 views now. So 8,000 pairs of eyes seeing my video. It went for about 10 minutes. Is incredible when you think about it. Okay, so YouTube is a very, very powerful platform. G'day, Fred. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Nice to see you. So YouTube is probably the number one thing, and I think it's one that is most underestimated by people and overwhelms people because you're worried about how you're going to create content. But I suggest you create good content on YouTube, even if it's just one video a month. That would be where I would spend my time first. Okay, just do that first before you do any other platform. Then Facebook would be the secondary thing that I do. Of course, LinkedIn, whilst it doesn't have the same, I guess, popularity, it is a great B2B site. So if you're in a B2B situation, LinkedIn is still a very good place for you to be. Business people spend an average of 11 minutes per day on LinkedIn. So be careful of these stats, by the way. I am very active on LinkedIn, or it appears that way, but I actually have a virtual assistant that does that for me. I log into LinkedIn maybe once every 3 months, and that'd be about it. So, just be very wary of some of these stats because they're not always 100% accurate, but there you go. Anyway, it's not surprising that Facebook and Instagram have the high overall reach, so they're probably reaching the most amount of people. And that LinkedIn has, and this is probably a surprise to you, 34% of the Australian market. So LinkedIn is still a very valid platform for B2B. We'll talk about the ages shortly. A question coming in on the live stream here: do I live stream to YouTube as well? No. Now the reason for this, and that's a great question, if you're going to use YouTube, you have the opportunity to really think about your content before you release it. This is going to go up. It's going to look like a live. I mean, it's a live video. There's no editing involved. We just pop it up on our YouTube channel, so it may as well be a live stream there. But we put it up there, and then we make sure we optimize the title, the tags, the description. So because YouTube, unlike Facebook, is more about people looking for something. Okay, so it gives you the opportunity to do that. I would also suggest that if you're going to use YouTube as a social media tool, as a tool, you have a little bit more time to prepare your content. Think about what you're going to post. Map out a bit of a storyboard for your video. So what are all the shots that you're going to have? Include some B-roll, some music. Make it a bit more entertaining, because what happens on YouTube is the longer that you have people engaged, the more likely that their YouTube is going to promote that video. The second thing you've got to think about, and I've run this as a test on one of my channels on YouTube that has 12,000 subscribers, is that when you do pre-recorded video that is short, sharp, and to the point, it answers a question, and then you throw in some live video, what happens is you will confuse your subscribers. So people that subscribe to your channel like the type of content that you create. If you then also start doing something different, that can really throw out the algorithm and means that you're not going to get as much exposure. So, when it comes to YouTube, these are some things to think about. Now, let's have a look at the age usage of social media. So if we look at the number of users, the biggest group of users is 25 to 34 year olds at 2.5 million or 2.6 million. The next age group is 35 to 44 year olds. The smallest age group is 13 to 17, which is probably what you would expect. They're busy still playing computer games. 18 to 24 is then the next level at 1.6, and then from 45 up to 65, you're sort of looking around in that group, which is three groups, around about 3 million. So it just goes to show you, oh, that's 65 plus, sorry. So from 45 and up is about 3 million. But it just shows you that it doesn't matter what age group you're going for, they're on social media. And I don't know how many customers you need, but you might go, my customers are, I don't know, let's say they're 65 plus. Well, there's 860,000 users in Australia that are 65 plus. So, if you can't get enough customers out of that, then there's something wrong with your marketing. It's not the social media platform, right? So, your customers are on Facebook. Your customers are on social media. They are there for you to market to. You just need to learn how to do it. Okay, so let's answer the question again. What social media channels should you be on? Well, for me, I think the two that you should pick to start with, number one is YouTube. Get really good at creating regular content. Weekly is ideal if you can do it, that you post onto YouTube every single week if you can. If you're afraid to be in front of the camera, like, I don't have any problems with it. Don't remember you've got this HD camera in your pocket, which is called your phone. Hold it there, do a voiceover, record something. Could be, it doesn't matter. Make it really easy. Very, very simple to find editing software these days. You can hire people to do your editing, and before you know it, you'll have some really powerful videos on YouTube that will be evergreen. And what I mean by that is that the content will always be there for people to find. And that means that will continue to deliver leads to you. Just this week, I released a video on one of my other channels for another business that I've got. And within the first 48 hours, it's created 100 leads, over 100 leads. Now, when I talk about a lead, I offered a lead magnet in that video, which was for people to download a checklist. And I've had over 100 people do that, go to my website and download over 100 checklists. So that means I've now got their name and their email address, and I can continue to market to those people off of YouTube. So it's a very, very powerful platform. If you have a strategy, it can work immensely well for you in your business and will help you generate leads and sales as you continue to create content. Don't get disheartened with YouTube. It can take a little while for you to get traction. Just continually be consistent, create good quality, and you'll find that eventually you'll start to get traction on the platform. It might even take 12 months. A good thing to do is to make sure if you've got a YouTube channel, promote it through your other social media platforms, promote it to your database, promote it to your customers, and try and get the word out there. All right, so there you go. Hopefully you found that helpful. I know that social media can be really overwhelming, but what I also know, because of the experience that I have in generating, I reckon we would generate somewhere between just in my business coaching business, we would generate somewhere between 30 and 50 leads a day on social media. My digital marketing business would be the same. One of my other businesses, which is in photography, it is generating 400 to 500 leads a month on social media. So, you just got to, and what you call a lead and what I'm calling a lead might be different. What I'm talking about is a name and the number or an email address of somebody in my database that allows me to continue to build the relationship, because that's really what you want. And it's somebody that's put their hand up, interested in what it is that we have to offer. No different to you coming on and watching this live today. Okay, so that gives you a bit of an idea of what is possible when it comes to social media. Good luck with that. And if you do want any help, digitlc.com.au is my website. That's the logo there, DigiTLC. Just think of tender loving care or traffic leads and customers, which is what it actually means. And we'll do our best to help you master social media and get some leads happening for you, get you some results. Until next time, take care. See ya.